Personally, I find the mental side of a binge much more difficult to overcome than the physical side. I know that feeling of shame, that feeling of regret, that feeling of guilt after a binge, and probably the next day as well. One of the things which helps me on the mental side is actually to deal with the physical side as well. And the worst thing for me after a binge is normally that feeling of bloating afterwards, where that food just kind of feels like it's sitting there in your gut. So for me, if I do binge, then in the cold light of the next day, that's usually one of the first things that I'll focus on addressing. So I'm going to give you my 3 go-to tips for dealing with that bloating afterwards. And I'm also going to tell you the number 1 thing that you want to avoid doing. Number 1, digestive enzymes. So digestive enzymes, they're going to be breaking down the food in your gut, which is just going to help your body process it more quickly, and it's going to help you start feeling physically better again. There are different kinds of enzymes, some which break down carbs, some which break down protein, some which break down fats. So my go-to foods, number 1 is pineapple. Pineapple is rich in an enzyme called bromelain, which is used to break down proteins. Mango, which is rich in amylase, which breaks down carbs. Fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut, not only do they provide your gut with good bacteria, they also are a source of nutrients and some more digestive enzymes. It's not an instant fix that as soon as you eat these, you're going to feel better. You do need to give it time. You do need to hydrate and let the enzymes do their thing. But it's probably one of the first things I do to help me feel better. Number 2, and a word of caution on this one, because it doesn't work for everyone, is more fiber. The reason I say it doesn't work for everyone is because some people do actually get bloating and indigestion and gas because of fiber. So if that's you, please do ignore this. However, if that's not, then fiber is the next thing which I'll look at. There's 2 kinds of fiber: soluble fiber, which you'll typically find in oats, in beans, citrus fruits, and a few other fruits and vegetables as well. What that does is it dissolves in the water in your digestive system, which creates a gel which helps food pass through more quickly. It also draws more water in, which again is just going to give your digestive system a little bit of a helping hand. The second kind is insoluble fiber, which does get broken down in your gut. It just adds bulk to what's already going through your system, and it's just going to help push the food along as well. So fiber doesn't necessarily help break down the food, but it helps pass it through you. And tip number 3 is a little bit of gentle activity. After a binge, I feel a little bit nauseated, I feel bloated, I feel lethargic, I have headaches. So high intensity exercise of any kind is just completely no-go for me. But at the same time, sitting or not doing anything active is going to feel uncomfortable and actually a little bit painful for me. So my go-to tends to be walking. I tend to go for a walking meditation. So I'll find like an hour of meditation music on either the podcast app or Spotify or even just YouTube running in the background. Stick my headphones in and then just go for a long walk. If it's raining, then I might get on a treadmill instead. But it's just the activity. It's that time to kind of reflect on my thoughts, clear my head, and set myself up again. It gives me that window of opportunity to process whatever my mind is going through. Walking is not for you, that's fine. We're all different. Pick something else. It might be cycling, it might be yoga, it might be, to be honest, I don't actually know anymore because I went with walking and I just kind of stuck with it since then. But, just find something to get you moving and just to, give yourself that little bit of a mental break. Plus physical activity helps with circulation, which means that the blood flows to the muscles in your digestive system are also going to increase, which again is just going to help digest that food more quickly. And now the number 1 worst thing you can do, and the one thing which I recommend definitely not doing, is to fast or starve yourself. Regardless of what you ate, regardless of what happened earlier, your body and mind still need nutrition, they still need nourishment, and they still need care. Fasting or starving yourself is borderline punishment, and it's not my area to say, but it does start to sound like swapping one disordered eating pattern for another. I'm speaking from experience, from when I used to try and fast my binges away. I used to feel more stressed. I would actually find in future when I binged again, I would feel actually even worse. It seemed to take longer for the bloating to actually go away, and it didn't help my relationship with food at all. So that's what I've got for you on how to deal with the bloating after a binge. Any comments or questions, let me know.